with me on the tasty trail with Benjamin. Bonjour et bienvenue, welcome to the Namdaemun market, the very important market in the center of Seoul, close to the South Gate, Namdaemun or Samgyeopsal, and also close to Seoul Station. So that's why this market is so important in Korea and very popular among the foreigners too. So today we came here to introduce you the very and many recipes around the pork in Korea. Come with me. I love Korean markets because they still have this, the spirit of the old markets that we have lost, I think, a little bit in the West, especially in Europe. Even though you have still traditional markets, of course, but like this, the plentiness that you have in Korean markets. That's nice to see that it's still alive in Korea. Wow, look over there. We have the pork trotter. You know, the pork trotter and the pork shank. We have the same in Europe, actually. And the pied de cochon in French. It's very famous. You know the story of Louis XVI, the king that we beheaded during the revolution. Actually, people say there is a legend saying that he died because of the pied de cochon and because of the pork shank, because he loved it so much that he stopped on his way, running away from Paris. He stopped in a small village called Saint-Ménehould, where they do a very good recipe of pork shank. They cook it for 40 hours, so it's so soft that it can eat even the bones. And people say that he stopped to have some of the pork shank and he was arrested there. So, of course, it's a legend. This one is only the feet, and here we have the shank together with the feet. All right, the front and the back of the leg. 머리. Oh, they have also pig head. We have this also in France. 우리나라에서도 많이 먹어요. 이거 귀칼치. Yeah, 다 먹어요 우리도. Yeah. Oh, that's very good. We have this also in Europe, huh? And we make a kind of pâté with that, with the meat. We have to cook for hours. It's very complicated to do. So most of the time it's only in butcher shops that you can find it. 가능할까요? Oh, she proposed me to have some. Of course I cannot refuse. Our king lost his head because of pork feet. I cannot refuse this one. I don't know if I could lose my head, but it seems really delicious. It melts, and a very complex flavor because of the medicinal stuff. I cannot describe, but we have almost like cinnamon aftertaste. They have been doing this business for 30 years at the same place, and they sell this 3 or 4 times a day, this amount. And I know why, it's delicious. Oh, look at that over there. The piggy box, you see, it's the same symbol that in almost everywhere in the world. The pig is a symbol of fortune, fertility, and wealth. So it's the same in Korea. You can see pigs everywhere like that for the piggy box, of course, but it's a very important symbol in Korea too. So you see, this is the Samgyeopsal spirit. It's the 3 layers of meat and fat. Sam meaning 3 in Korean. So that's the secret of the Samgyeopsal. It's easy to make, no recipe, and easy to eat. But you see, I feel like, look at the room, look at the people, look at the noise. Can you hear the noise of the place? That's the Samgyeopsal spirit. And I'm not in the spirit because I'm alone. So I think I should ask the team to come. PDD, please come. And makeup lady, makeup artist, thank you, coordinator. Come with me. Kachimokcho, let's have the Samgyeopsal together. Because that's the spirit of Samgyeopsal, you know? You cannot have Samgyeopsal by yourself. It's absolutely impossible. In Korea, you have to share. And especially Samgyeopsal. And there is even something that we miss. It's alcohol. 술 필요하죠. 삼겹살 있으면. I'm sure if you ask a Korean Samgyeopsal, they would say soju. I don't know. Maybe we should ask some of the people here. If you say Samgyeopsal, what do you think? I would be very curious because there is something special about the culture of Samgyeopsal in Korea. For Korean people, it's just not. No, it's not only food. It's something more. Something more. So you know in Korea you always receive your alcohol with 2 hands and you give back. You don't serve yourself. This one is a traditional liquor. Kambe. Cheers. Kambe as we say in Korean. You know, I sip it like wine, like a French person. Look at what they did. Korean style, 1 shot. Korean style and French style. Wow. Golden brown color of the roasted pork. And the sound behind, I love the sound of the place, you know, very busy. You know, it reminds me of the atmosphere of a French bistro. Noisy, busy, but good. And it's even better because of the atmosphere. Excuse me, 안녕하십니까? Do you speak Korean? No. Oh, you're Japanese. Do you speak English? Yes?
Yes, already.
So I want to ask you, do you know the Samgyeopsal?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Do you have Samgyeopsal in Japan also?
Yes, but not so common.
All right. So you come to Korea and you want to enjoy the Samgyeopsal.
Yes.
All right. So
Always.
for you, what is it you know about? When do you want to have the Samgyeopsal? Is it a special feeling or a special atmosphere or something special?
Maybe I think it's very effective for women's skin.
Really?
Yes,
Interesting.
Both include many collagen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, I see. And you have also some Korean traditional alcohol, makgeolli, to go with. So you think alcohol and Samgyeopsal go well together?
Yes, it's very good.
Okay, thank you very much. Enjoy your meal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, very interesting. So we have even tourists enjoying, Japanese tourists enjoying the Samgyeopsal. That's wonderful. So, but the reason is more for the skin, the beauty, she said, for the ladies. So I want to find another person who can tell me more about Korean tradition. But we have to find someone who wants to speak, so let's try. 실례하지만 안녕하십니까? 혹시 I want to ask you a question about Samgyeopsal. Samgyeopsal 어느 때 드시고 싶으십니까?
회사 갔다가 일하고 힘들 때요.
아, 그러세요? Yes, I think she said what's very important also in the Korean culture of Samgyeopsal. You know, after work, you go with your friends, people working with you. It's about relieving the stress and also enjoying the time all together, speaking about the different problems that you have in the company or in society. Well, it's about all that. Samgyeopsal, it's about the very chic, which is meeting with friends or people from your company all together for dinner and alcohol. Wow, that's the Samgyeopsal effect, I think. You know, as many people, as many effects you can find, but look the atmosphere, look at the place, you know. Everybody comes to get the same dish, the Samgyeopsal, and what's the reason? Well, basically it's all the same. Getting together with friends, enjoying a glass of alcohol or liquor with the Samgyeopsal to get rid of the stress, you know, to get rid of the stress of the day and to go on all together. So the Samgyeopsal is a community maker in Korea. So it's not only about the food, it's also about what we share together. Put some kimchi on the pan. It was delicious with the kimchi. All right. Happy birthday to you. All right, this one is the pork belly. You know, we know it. We do the bacon in Europe or in the States also, of course, with that. But the bacon, it's different from the pork belly that we have here. This one is just raw, of course, a little bit matured, but it's raw. Whether in, for example, in France, in Britain, we do it first. We put it in salt. After being salted, sometimes we smoke it. That's the bacon we have for breakfast, for example. This one is just plain. That's the Samgyeopsal. So once again, why is it called Samgyeopsal in Korean? It's because you have 3 layers. Sam meaning the 3 layers. Meat. 1, 2, 3. You have the fat, the meat, the fat, the meat. That this meat, that it does, you know, that it catches directly the pig and kills it and prepare everything, maturing it here. So that's why it's beautiful meat with a very nice marbling. You know, it's interesting. Maybe that's the time to explain a little bit the history of the Samgyeopsal or pork belly, grilled pork belly in Korea, because it's really popular and there is a kind of explanation to it. Because if you look back in the 60s, suddenly the meat started to be more affordable for people. And people started to have more and more meat. Of course, the pork was less expensive than the beef. So every day people could have only pork. Especially workers, people working in construction works and, you know, having very hard works. They need like a lot of calorie and a lot of nutrients. So they were very happy with the Samgyeopsal because it's full of, you know, of fat. And especially of something very important for them, which is the B1 vitamin. B1 vitamin is the vitamin you need when you are tired or when you are stressed. That's why we still love Samgyeopsal nowadays in our very stressful environment. And that's why also people love to have Samgyeopsal after work, for example. Voila, we found a very nice place for the pork meat today, and I'm going to explain you everything about it. Come with me, please. Here we are with the suyuk. So this is the dweji suyuk, or pork belly, boiled and cut in slices like this. So this suyuk, or boiled pork slices, may remind you of something you have in your own country. You know, in China, in Vietnam, even in Japan, you have some recipes like that of glazed pork. And in Europe, we have a lot of dishes, including boiled pork, like a lot of French, what we call the poté, or you know, the stews of pork cooked in a pot and boiled for many hours. Actually, it's for the same effect, to take out the fat, the excess of fat, and have a very tender meat. So we can compare this to many of our dishes, actually. There is a special way to eat the suyu. You can eat it like that, with a bowl of alcohol, but that's not the best way. The best way to eat it as a posam. What's posam? Posam is this meat mixed with a leaf of cabbage, for example, or lettuce, depending on what you have, but most of the time it's cabbage, and wrapping it with other elements. So it's the wrapping culture. So here we are in the center of what is called the Sam culture. In Korea, it's very important. Close my eyes. Very different. So it's going to be boiled with the soybean paste called the doenjang. Very important in Korean cuisine, as you know it already. Okay, so it's not only the doenjang or soybean paste. We have also to put some vegetables for to make a broth, actually, to make a nice, tasty and sweet broth. That's so heavy. Okay. Okay, all right. Oh, it's so heavy. Wow. Up. Ichokoro. Okay. Look at this beautiful spatula, the giant spoon, giant Korean spoon. So it's going to let it boil for how long? We are going to boil all these ingredients together for 2 hours, making it very soft and tasty. I love this huge pot. So before going for my second leaf, I want to explain you a little bit what's this. It's called seujot, or shrimp, salted shrimp paste. So you see, this is marinated and fermented shrimp. These shrimps have a special reason to be on the table. First, it's a wonderful match for the taste, but that's not the only reason. You have a scientific reason. When fermented, the shrimps produce what is called a proteinase. What is it? It's an element which is going to dissolve in your intestine the fat or proteins in the pork. So it's going to help the digestion. You know, you have to look at food, not only in Korea, as a whole. Why is it good for health? Why is it good to eat? It's because it's a mix of different ingredients. We don't eat meat by itself in Korea. It's an heresy. You have to have meat and also vegetables and a soup. Different ingredients, and that's the secret of healthy diet. So that's the match, and that's the secret, and that's what I'm going to tell you again and again in Korean food. That's what is wonderful. We have this holistic approach. And we have a very nice weather today too. So you know, like traditional winter weather, like blue sky and a very shiny sun. Saturday afternoon, a lot of traffic jam, a lot of cars. We are in Korea, and we are going to be there very soon anyway. It's the paradise of pork lovers. You know what it is? Actually, it's pig head. That's what we have in France. We call it pâté de tête. It's pork head, which is pressed as a pâté, and you slice it, and you can eat it cold with some mustard and bread. In Korea, of course, you eat it differently, but it's the same principle. We can go over there and have a look the way it is, the final result, which is exactly the same shape than the French one. It's called doeji morigogi, the pig head meat, pressed, you know, with this very nice marbling. It looks like Italian marble. I mean, this side is even more interesting. This is the Korean blood sausage or sundae. This one is with some noodles, rice glass noodles inside. But you have a more interesting one, which is this one. Look, please come here and have a look. This one is more interesting because it looks like the European blood sausage. Inside you have some herbs. Actually, it's cabbage, green cabbage. So it looks a little bit similar to what we have, you know, in France we do it with the blood and sauteed onions. In Korea, it's blood, some garlic, and especially in this one, the cabbage. So this is more like countryside style. Come with me. I want to show you another one. This one is beautiful. 너무 맛있게 보이는데 이거는. I'm going to buy some. This one looks very interesting because it's in a big intestine. With the green you see inside, it's the cabbage. Anyway, it's homemade, so that's very interesting. It's more and more difficult to find a homemade blood sausage in Seoul, so that's why I want to bring back home, absolutely. Well, actually, you know, we have a lot of prejudices in Europe, especially against pork, and I think, well, it's also because pork was a sacred, pig was a sacred animal in many religions and countries, and it's true that if you have too much pork, I guess it's not very good for health. But in Korea, that's quite interesting. We think there is a detox function, property in pork. I guess it's linked to the fact that the fat that you find, for example, in some parts like the trotters with the gelatin, the collagen, they say dissolves all the elements that pollution brings into your body, especially the lungs. So I've been told many times, you know, when I felt like very bad because of, for example, air pollution, to eat pork trotters. So that's the well-being effect, we would say, of pork. Ladies say it's good for skin, especially pork trotters, or the Samgyeopsal, the pork belly, because it's full of fat. So that's about the very interesting paradox of Korean well-being approach of pork, which I want to believe, actually. You know, I love pork, so if you tell me it's good for health, I'll buy it. No problemo. So, suyuk or boiled pork, and we have also discovered today the pig pork trotter. We had also some pork belly with the Samgyeopsal. Well, I'm sure you're surprised that there are so many ways to eat pork in Korea. Actually, there is much more than that. And I'm sure you were surprised to discover that we could use pork as a well-being or a detox element. That's the way we love pork meat in Korea, and I love it too. You saw I had a lot of pork today. I guess that half of me is a pig now, which is good, and I'm sure it's a good sign. I'm going to become very rich, but before that, I hope we'll see soon for the next episode of our journey into Korean cuisine. See you soon, bye-bye.